Welcome to episode 84 of Stageworthy. I'm your host, Phil Rickaby. Stageworthy features conversations in Canadian theatre with artists of all stripes, from actor to director to playwright and more. If you want to drop me a line, I would love to hear from you. You can find Stageworthy on Facebook and Twitter at StageworthyPod, and you can find the website at StageworthyPodcast.com. My guests are Melanie Pyne and Chris Whitby from Triple Bypass Productions. Triple Bypass presents adult entertainment, playing now as part of the 2017 edition of the Toronto Fringe Festival.
What drew you to this play adult entertainment for the Fringe specifically?
I think there's 4 characters, so simple is always better for the Fringe.
Yes.
We like the rate. It's snappy. It's
we were kind of going through plays, and some plays would grab some of us, and others would grab some of the other folks in the team, and it was hard to kind of get everyone on the same page, and we all kind of looked at adult entertainment, and it was just like, I like this one. Yeah, I like this one too. Yeah, I like this. We're all in agreement, and it's really is just as simple as that. Like it was just one of those things where we just all really enjoyed the read. And sometimes, I when we pick our plays, it's hard to put into words exactly why we are drawn to a play. Usually, it's instinctual, like that we are drawn to something, and then we kind of through the process discover why we find those answers.
Do you tend to be like dark comedies with some heart?
Yeah, there's always like we have our tastes, but yeah. But then we end up discovering even deeper throughout the whole process, which is always kind of fun.
Aside from dark comedy, are there other themes that you are drawn to in the things that you've done previously?
So we met in an acting class. It was Carter Thor, right, when we first started, and then it turned to StraeonActing.
It turned into StraeonActing. They changed the name to StraeonActing.
And so Chris was a coach. I came with Amanda Armagon, and TJ Chesley was also a coach monitor. And there's sort of a focus on telling stories, and the 4 of us are sort of drawn to each other, and we have the same sort of
sensibilities.
Yeah, vision. Yeah. And so we just we did a scene in class from Savage and Limbo that Amanda brought, and then TJ really liked it and was like, let's put it on, and we invited Chris to be in it and our other friend Amy, and it kind of formed Triple Bypass, and then we did that and it was really successful at Storefront, and then we decided let's do another one, and it developed. Now it's our fifth.
Yeah, it's our fifth production in I guess like three years. So yeah, it's been good little runs that we've been doing and kind of building.
Cool.
Yeah.
How's the Fringe preparation been going? Fringe is sort of in flux. They've moved offices. They no longer have that rehearsal space that was so great. They don't have. They're moving to a different place for the Fringe Club. But how's it been getting ready for Fringe? I don't even want to say 2.0, like Fringe 3.0.
Well, this year they've redid the website and everything that you're doing all the online sort of questionnaires and publicity and all that. So it's helpful in the sense that they give you deadlines and sort of outlines. So you just plug in the information as best you can to the knowledge that you have. Whereas when you're doing it on your own, you've got to sort of set your own deadlines.
Yeah.
It is sometimes overwhelming because it's a lot, like organizing rehearsals and then acting yourself and then producing with, of course, a great team. But it's it's a lot of late nights, but we love it. So but Fringe is so cool to give you the opportunity to do work in a theater that normally we would never be able to afford, right? So we did Passe Muraille, which is...
Yeah, we did theater Passe Muraille main space 2 Fringes ago when we did Skunkweed. there, and yeah, I mean, that was such an amazing theater to perform in, and now this time we have Tarragon main space. So
Nice.
we've been lucky
really
with
lucky.
with the spaces that we've been granted from them. So
Yeah. That's one of the. I mean, to get to work in spaces like that.
Yeah.
And for
that you saw in high
not
school, be like, one day
thousands. Yeah.
I'll walk on that
Yeah.
stage, and Fringe
Yeah.
offers you the opportunity. So
Yeah.
it's, we're really
Yeah.
grateful in that sense.
In terms of the new website, the new stuff like that, is it are you able to see your ticket sales in real time? Have they moved over to that kind of system?
I don't think they've quite gone on sale yet. I would have to double check that date. I'm not sure. That is one thing. They release information as sort of the steps unfold, so that I would have to read more documents
That can be
to
a
figure
bit
that
of a
out.
curse, though. Like being able to see your sales in real time. They did that in Edmonton. And you could really fall down I'm just going to refresh the page again. I'm just going to refresh the page
Oh.
again.
yeah,
Refresh the page
and
again.
especially if when you got to get ready for a performance that day, and you're worried about, we only have 3 ticket sales for, you know what I mean? And sometimes you just got to let it go and just trust that you're going to get 15 or 20 walk-ups that day
And
or
most
something
of
like that.
Fringe
Absolutely.
are walk-ups, I would say.
Well, they were. I mean, now,
I guess they have the passes
now
more that
because
are more popular.
you can sell out in advance. So there's fewer opportunities for walk-ups. Like the last couple of years, people can buy like 100% of the tickets in advance. So like a show can sell out even before it opens. If
Well,
you're
our goal
lucky.
to reach more.
But wouldn't that be nice? Can I ask you both about your theater background? Like, how did you come to the theater? What made you want to get involved in theater? Did you go to school for theater? What did you?
Well, I started back when I was in college. I was doing something completely different, and I ended up going down. A buddy of mine and I we decided we wanted to go explore like improv. So we started taking classes at Second City, and our first class, I was like right in the little beginner level. I'd never done any acting before that, but I was always a bit of a mimic and growing up as a kid and stuff. And about halfway through the class, our teacher, Janet Vandegraff, she said, because we were doing very basic things, and she's like, but I want you to see what this can lead to. So she took us over to the Tim Sims Playhouse, which is no longer around anymore, but she took us over there to see. There was a free improv show. There were some of the more advanced improvisers around Second City, and went and saw it, and I was like, I want to do that. Like that was it. It changed my life that day. So so that's where I started. I went through the conservatory there and graduated out of the conservatory. Did a lot of like kind of sketch and improv, and then I just kind of started veering into scripted material, doing plays, and I always I was looking at myself and thinking, it's like, who are my heroes? I mean, who do I look up to in this industry? And it was always more dramatic actors. And so I started looking and exploring more into more theater and studying for film and TV on camera stuff. And that's kind of that's where it went. And that's where I've been going ever since.
Can I ask you what your initial college? What you were initially?
Oh, I was in for radio broadcasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It's still performance-based.
It was still performance based. I actually went to radio because I like I said, when I was a kid, I was always a bit of a mimic. I could do voices and stuff like that, and I was like, I want to get into doing like voices for cartoons, right? But how do I do that? And I was like, well, maybe I'll start with radio. And I went in there, and I actually built. Through, if there was anything I got from radio broadcasting program, was that when we always did commercials and all that kind of stuff, I always made sure I was doing character voices. And when I was writing the commercials that we had to do for assignments, I would make sure that they were very character-y based, so I could do voices and stuff like that. And I ended up was able to cut myself a little demo reel from it, but I didn't finish radio. I was a little bit short, but at that point, I had already decided I wanted to move into going into acting and stuff, and so it didn't really bother me. I didn't really care that much, but But then, funny enough, I never really got into doing any kind of animation voiceover stuff initially when I came out, but it's just been in the last few years through acting and stuff like that. Now I've done some voicing on some animation and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of funny how it became full circle.
One day. So much fun.
Oh yeah, and I have some friends who kind of get projects. I have a friend who's got a recording studio, who gets projects, stuff like that. So whenever we need people doing voiceover, I'll call my actor friends. Like, come on, do that. He needs help. So we come and do it. Yeah. So
was it difficult making that transition? Like, sometimes when people change a major or a focus in their life, they worry about not just if it's going to be difficult. They worry about what other people are going to think, friends, family, that sort of thing.
You mean the transition from radio to acting?
Radio to acting, yeah.
It was a little... Well, it wasn't a difficult decision for me to go from radio to... Because I did discover when I was in the program, I didn't love radio. And it's one of those things, I think you do have to love it.
Yeah.
Because it's not a... it's a struggle. Like acting is. It is a struggle. And I think especially if you want to be an on-air personality, you gotta go pay your dues out in, Armpit, Manitoba.
Yeah.
And they pay nothing to do some of those hosting shows out there and stuff. So, so it wasn't a hard decision for me to make because I just fell in love with performing and acting and stuff like that. But the dilemma I did have coming out was whether I should go back to school. It's like, does this mean I should go to theater school now? And that I did have, because I was already, I had 2 years at college and in debt from that. Yeah. And then it's like, do I want to accumulate more debt to go do this? And, especially for a profession that's, you're not coming out getting a doctor's wage, you know what I mean? Or anything like that. So I did wrestle with that for quite a while. And then ultimately I opted just to there were so many independent workshop schools in the city that you could do it as you go along and stuff like that. So I opted to I didn't end up going to theater school. I just started doing it, basically.
Was it when you finished and you started? That was what you're doing, taking the classes and stuff. How long did it take for you to start finding your footing as an actor? Was that in Toronto that you were doing that?
Yeah. I've been here the whole time. To find my footing, it's. I'd say it probably took a few years. I guess, like, in what sense do you mean, like as?
Well, I mean, I don't. Somebody was in another profession, I might say, when did you start working, or like when did you start making a living?
Right.
But I mean, theater is like so hit and miss.
Yeah.
Finding like your niche, your footing, like learning that you were wanting to produce work and things like that. How long did that take to find that?
Oh, I think you go through phases as an actor when you first jump into it, and you're just like, and you do that first show and people come, oh, you were great, that was so good, and you had such an amazing experience, and you're on top of the world. Whether you really were that great, who knows? But you're on top of the world, and you've hit that first. You caught the bug, you caught the bug, and now you just want to go full throttle, and then you start getting into it, and then all of a sudden you start to hit challenges, right? And you start to hit challenges, and you start to realize you need to work. You need to keep working at this. It's not something, when you realize it's not going to happen overnight or in a few years or this and that, and then you start to hit these crossroads. And I think it was probably, one of the things Melanie mentioned, the acting studio we met at was Carter Studios, and I think it was when I went to that studio, which was about, I think I was 29 or 30 when I started at that studio, and it was just like, that's where I kind of discovered what it meant, what it was to be an actor, and the importance of being an actor, and I had the freedom to really explore, unapologetically what I need to explore into whether characters I'm playing and stuff like that, and not afraid to be judged or any of those kind of things. And I think it was when I went into that studio is when I really kind of started to get my footing and starting to be a professional, really. I mean, I had agents and stuff like that leading up to that stuff, but as far as like making the work more important and such, it was really at that studio, I think, when I really...
And then they tell you value, and that you can say no to some commercial, like that you have, a certain strength.
You have your own agency.
That you can, and that when you go into an audition room, don't ask permission. Tell them, I'm going to put this chair here. Are you ready to go? He gave you, that...
Your integrity. They always said, don't lose your integrity as an actor, and that, that don't worry about what other people are doing, and don't worry about yourself. He said just trust the process and understand, and just go in there and say, well, this is how I'm going to play this role. Whether they like it or not, that's out of my hands. But this is how I would play this role if they cast me.
I think that every actor should spend some time, or at least one day, on the other side of the table. Not auditioning, but as an auditioner, whether you're reading, whether you learn so much about mostly what not to do. Which is helpful.
I sat behind the table of a TV series. I was the reader, and they were casting a TV series, and so they were, and this was a series that there was a lot of different ethnicities in the characters, and there was a lot of characters, like it was an ensemble cast, and so they were seeing a lot of people, and so I saw so many people come in, and I was reading, and I saw working actors, people you kind of recognized and stuff that would come in there, and you're like, oh wow, and what surprised me was that they weren't blowing people out of the water. Like they came in and they were just doing pretty average auditions, and stuff like that. It was a bit of an eye opener. Some people came in and were fantastic, and then some people were disappointing, and who knows why. It just goes to show everyone has off days, and
that's right.
or sometimes these roles are just not right for that person or whatever it is, right? But it just goes to show, like you just have to go in and prepare yourself for it and go in and do it, and
I've watched people lose their role, that role the moment they walk in the door.
Sure.
Just something about the way that they walk in the door, and everybody's like, well, not them.
Yeah. I saw someone walk in and they were just so insecure. That there's no way they're going to get hired.
It's that whole thing you were just saying, Melanie, about not needing to ask permission. Like, it's your time
to take up space and feel comfortable doing that. Yeah, and it takes time.
I think when you do that in an audition, it gives them the confidence to go, okay, we don't have to worry about that. Especially if they don't know you as an actor, they're seeing you for the first time. At least they can go, well, they seem to know what they're doing. So and they know they're not like, is it okay if I do this? Was that all right with you?
You're showing them that I've got you. We're okay. Just let me take care of you for these 10 minutes, and then we'll go.
And if you want me to go in a completely different direction, I can do that too. Just this is my my sort of interpretation.
I think that's ultimately they just want to see you make some choices. They don't, and then they may not be the best choices, they may not be the right choices, but at least you're making choices, and then they'll adjust you. And then I think that's the other thing they want to see. It's like, can you take the adjustments? Because if you can't, then you're not going to get hired either.
No, that's a big thing.
Because even when we've been auditioning for different parts in different shows that we've put on, to be on the other side of the table, even if it's sometimes we know the people and sometimes they're complete strangers, to see someone, they may not be perfect, but they absolutely go for it, and we are cracking up, and we are so behind them, and they try different stuff, and they go, nope, never mind, let me do something, and it's just, and those are the people, because we see the enthusiasm and the love, and that's...
they just went for it.
And then we're like,
they just fully committed to it.
Even if it wasn't what we envisioned or perfect, we're like, but look what they did just without on their own, and that's some of the people that we've worked with have been really great.
Yeah, and then there were some other auditions that we've seen where I'm like, I just can't believe how not prepared these people are.
Yeah,
right. That they're coming in and you know, it's like they're reading the script for the very first time, and
well, that always tells you that you're not going to work with that person. Like if they're that unprepared for their audition, how prepared are they going to be for the actual thing?
And also to see some people that are so prepared and they're really great, but something like our director goes like, not for this part. And that's an interesting lesson as an actor as well, to know that you may be so great, but it just isn't your role. And then you have to be gracious and just sort of be like, oh, that's great. Well, next time.
Did you find, because I've found this during auditions, like 2 days of auditions, and at the end of each day, going over all these headshots and going like, do I remember these people? And I'd be like, oh, I remember that guy. He was terrible. Like, those are the people that stand out. And so you end up having to have these conversations like, this guy, does everybody remember their audition? What notes did I take? Was he good? Was he... Because the good people don't stand out quite as well as the bad for some reason. Probably because the bad are...
So bad.
Yeah. Like, they tend to be like, that's a story.
Yeah.
That I will tell, itself. You know?
But courage. What courage.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
But...
Generally, I find that the people who were right for the part, most of the time we've been in agreement. Like we say, we get narrowed down to maybe three or 2, 3, 4 people, where we go, okay, I think it's going to come down to these people, and we're usually all in agreement of that. It's usually kind of obvious.
Yeah,
it's rare that we're like hum and han over 2 people.
And sometimes it does come down to like the body type that is mentioned by the playwright, or it has to be in relation to another character, and it's just like, well, we need a smaller guy for this, even though somebody who was 6 foot was fabulous, but it's interesting to be on the flip side, and there's way more things that sort of
because there is something to be said about the picture. You know, the picture, like whether it's a movie, but also the picture on stage when you're sitting there, and if you were to look at everything with the like all the cast and the costumes and then the set, the lighting and stuff like that, and you see it as a whole, there's something to be said about that, and so it's important.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the situation of like knowing that we wanted a particular girl for a role, and then like when we were talking about the gentleman who might be acting with her, the question became like, can I see him with her? Like, for that particular role, like, she's really bloodthirsty. Can he hold his own against her in that role? No. You know, we couldn't see that in him.
Yeah, well, I think one of the best examples that we have of that was from our last show we did was Den of Thieves. And Michael Eisner played the role of Flacco, who's like this white guy. He thinks he's kind of Spanish. You know? He thinks he's like a street thug, right? Yeah, right. And so he's with Melanie's character, who's a stripper, right? And Melanie is, how tall are you, Melanie?
5'9".
You're 5'9", and we had you in heels too. So you were probably about 6'1", right? And Michael is probably, you know, he's probably what, like 5. I don't want to.
I don't know, but
but he's short. He's on the shorter end of things, right? But that dynamic for that particular play, it just worked so well, right? And
but his character was massive. Like he just took over that, you know, he held his own against anybody. So it was really fun.
But just the image of it was just, it was so funny. But so that worked really well.
Cool. Melanie, I want to make sure that we get some time to talk about your, because we can keep going about all this stuff, but your theater background, what drew you to the theater? What was your journey to get to where you are?
It's funny. I think I wanted to be... I watched Little Mermaid, and I realized I know it was a cartoon, but I was like, I want to be the voice. And then my mom took us to see, when we were quite small, The Phantom of the Opera. And she said, I've never seen you sit so still. But I didn't want to be Christine, because she's boring. I wanted to be the Phantom. And then I realized that I can sing, but I'm not a singer. That wasn't my forte. And then I just was in speech competitions and lip syncing and silly things like that when you're a kid. And then I went to Unionville High School in the Arts York for drama. I met some really great people. And then I have really supportive parents. And they're like, if you want this, it's not going to be easy, but you love it, so we're not going to force you down a path that you don't want to go down. So I went to theater school. I went to Humber for a year and a half, and then I was kicked out of their program. And then I went to Fanshawe and did some courses at Seneca, and then went to Vancouver thinking, it's all going to happen out there. I'll be the next Gillian Anderson. And then came back when it didn't. And then, I went to Carter-Thor, and sort of everything took off from there.
Was there a point when it went from, a little girl saying, I want to be the voice of the Little Mermaid, to realizing that you did this? Because everybody else, they might, in your class or your friends might have been talking about, like, other careers they were going to do, and maybe at one time it was, we're going to be doctors, policemen, astronauts, and then it became, like, businessman.
I'll definitely say I want to be an astronaut, but I'm awful at math and science, and I figured that out at a very young age.
When I was a kid, I didn't know how much math and science was involved in being an astronaut. I just knew you got to go to space.
Well, my dad's like, well, you need to know your times tables, and I was like, well,
forget about that.
Well, I've seen Apollo 13, so I can do anything without being anything. Isn't that exciting for a kid to just to be able to always play? But I think it was probably getting to high school and then we did like Waiting for Godot, and I had a teacher who cast me as Lucky and the boy, and I was never I was shy and probably quiet and stuff, and he was the first one that sort of gave me a chance, and he's like, you can hold silence, and he was a teenager. I was like, that's interesting. I don't know how or why, and then it was just from there I figured out that I love this. I love it. This is the most terrifying but magical feeling in the world. And then I was just like, I want it. For better or for worse, this is what I wanted to do.
And when did you decide that you wanted to be producing your own work?
I think it definitely came out of meeting these other lovely folks into a bypass, and just because how long are you going to wait? And maybe nobody will ever think I'm going to be the next Meryl Streep. So we have to do something that you can give yourself opportunities and other people opportunities, and do the work that you want to put on and tell the stories that we wanted to give a voice to.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things. Another thing that Carter-Thor was really big on was creating your own work, and not sitting by the phone waiting for your agent to call. And just getting out there and meeting people and working, with people. And if there's people in the class that you like working with, you admire their work, write a script with them, do something with them, and get out there and just do stuff. Because, it's not like, we're going to the, our actor's cubicle 9 to 5 every day, right? To sit there and do acting work for some company, right? Like it's you can sit there and go through long droughts, and so it was about,
who had discipline and passion to sort of pursue it, and that we'd have each other's backs to go like, don't quit, don't quit. You're really, and Chris is a coach too, and a director, and stellar. Like he very, very clever. Like he'll come over and say one thing to you in a scene, and I'm like, poof, your heart just blows open, and I'm like, of course, why can't I do that for myself? So it's also great to have, and you've helmed a lot of our shows. I feel like you've been the rock in some of the characters, and it's so great to have those different energies that sort of put together our company.
It's amazing to see how in the last 10 years or so, how creating your own work has become an essential part of a theater career.
Well, it's also, I think, of film and TV too. Like I love theater. I love storytelling generally, and I love film and TV. I love doing voice work. I love being on stage, and to me it's all the same thing. And it's the same with film and TV too. Like getting out there and creating your own work. You can, I think they called Toronto a satellite city, and with satellite cities in the industry, a lot of, like, with film and TV stuff, like especially with American stuff that comes up here, it's they cast a lot in LA, and then they cast all the kind of smaller roles here. So when you are lucky enough to get an audition, you'll get in there, and it's for half a page or whatever, right? And it's not really getting your juice is going. You know what I mean? And also I mean theater, it can be cliquey too, right? And so. And it's hard. Like I mean, like I said, I didn't go to theater school, and so I've never had an audition for Can Stage. I've never had an audition for Tarragon. They've never called me in, so it can be difficult too, right? So it's just like a matter. At some point, you just go, fuck it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If no one wants to see me, then I'm just gonna go do the work that I want to do. And I think more often than not, it leads to more work that way, because people will come and then they see you work, and they see you in a position where like you are, you know, playing a lead role in a play, and you get to do the full arc of a story. You know what I mean? Rather than just, you know, playing a couple of pages or something like that. You get to really explore and really kind of challenge yourself and stuff like that. So there's...
Passion also goes a long way. Like, if somebody sees, oh, wait, this guy produced this thing and it was good, and like the passion that, like, I want to work with that kind of passion to put something together. That can really help too.
Yeah. Also, not being a dick.
Well,
too, right? Like, there's also that, right? Like people.
That's huge.
Yeah, there's also that element too, right? That like talent, passion, and not being an asshole. Like it's just.
And the want to always learn.
Yeah.
And learn from other people and see what else you can collaborate to do together. Like we've brought on Tom Summerworks, is another member of our company, and he's from the States, and he's an awesome addition, and also like brings a different flavor, and is very well versed in acting and theater. So it's an adventure. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, yeah.
Well,
that's for
worth
sure.
it when you can say, like, without anyone's permission, other than the playwright giving us permission to do it, but we did that, and for better or for worse, because it's, if you're a carpenter or something, you see the product at the end of the day, so to be able to see the show whether you're in it or not, but just know that was my creation, that's the object that you put out into the world, is... I don't know, satisfying, or just it's you just feel...
I don't know, I think it's pretty fucking satisfying. I think when you've made it, like, not like made it like at the top, but when you made the thing, like when that curtain goes down, whether you're in it, when that show is over, you made that, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and also and knowing that, like, assuming it's well received and all that kind of stuff, and just what effect it had on someone in the audience. Yeah, you know, that's where they were moved to
to have someone on the street after the Fringe show we did, and just at the lights, and I was like, "Why is this guy looking at me?" And he was like, "Skunkweed, right on, man." And they crossed the street, and I was just like, "Oh wow!" You don't expect someone to recognize, but then. Yeah, that's, for whatever reason, there's something that
when we did Skunkweed at Fringe 2 years ago, I was sitting in the beer tent, and there was some guy standing just kind of a little bit off from me, and I thought he was like waiting for someone to finish the conversation to go, but he was actually waiting for an opportunity to come up to me, and so when his window came up, he came up to me, he goes, "Hey," I just want to say to you, I really loved your show. He goes, it was so amazing and funny and scary and exciting, and I was so moved, and it was one of the best nights in the theater I think I've ever had. And I was like, whoa. I was like, wow. And for him to come up to a complete stranger, to go out of his way to say that to me, I thought, like, that's when you go, wow, that's pretty amazing feeling. Yeah.
I love when people, like, especially people you don't know, when somebody you don't know comes up to you and says, takes the time to say, "I really like that," or "I was moved by that," or "Thank you for doing that." It's really amazing.
And then he apologized to me for not seeing the show earlier, because we were towards the end of our run. And I was like, "Dude," I go, "don't worry about it. Thank you for seeing it, and thank you for coming up. And we still have a few shows left, so please spread the word." But it was.
And sometimes you don't know, because that one you don't know. Going into it, we thought it was a great, fun story and stuff, but we didn't realize, like, the poignancy of it until we were in it, and we're like, oh, this is
we really found an
writing,
emotional
Mr.
heart
Bogosian,
in that.
yeah.
And what on paper looked like kind of like a fun kind of romp, by the end it was really sad. We had a pretty sad ending. It was, and so it really did have a massive arc in the show, and it's something again that wasn't necessarily on the page, and it was something we discovered through rehearsals and such, and it was cool. Yeah, it was a play that we thought would just be fun, and then in the end it moved a lot of people, and it moved us too.
Yeah,
big time.
It was great when those kinds of revelations happen. Like in the rehearsal, like you thought it was one thing, and then no, it's something else.
Yeah,
it's more than just this fun romp.
And sometimes it's not just like it's not something that happens in one moment. It's something that happens gradually, and then all of a sudden you look at what's become, and it's hard to see it when you're in it, But it's not until after the fact you go, "Wow, look what we."
And sort of
put together.
to have the trust in the playwright and the director and your fellow actors, because I think one thing that we're pretty big on is connection between actors, because no matter what, we're up there with each other, so we've got each other's backs, and we're doing this, like telling a story together. So I think it's something really, I don't know, you don't know. See, even this one that we're doing for Fringe now, what I might have thought when I first read it, and I was interested in a different character, and people are like, no, you're Pam, and then now in rehearsals, it's way more gut-wrenching and touching my heart than I expected, and I'm like, oh, maybe this is why I shied away from it, because it is something to discover.
It's easy to do that, I think, when you're reading a script, when you already have an idea of who you might be playing in the thing. Yeah. It's you can read it with some blinders on a little bit, and you're not actually seeing the full thing and what the full purpose of the character is to the whole story and such, and it can. So I mean, I know when I read, I was like, "You're Pam, you're Pam," even though you were like, I don't know,
because it's
I was like, "No, you're
just
Pam."
the feels that I don't know if I want to go there, but yeah, and to trust the director to have that vision and to let you play and to trust you, and just, I think our favorite experiences with directors are that they just let you go, and then they're like, something fell off the rails there, let's figure out this moment. And it's often when I'm like, I know, that's when you fall back into your actor tics, that you can get away with. So it's pretty.
At what stage in the production are you guys at? Because Fringe is just a month away, so have you guys been rehearsing for a while? You've been rehearsing for a while. How close are you to being ready, do you think?
Well, this plays interesting in the fact that there's two characters. So in rehearsing it, it's two people meet, and then they all come together at the end. So it's been a little bit easier than other plays where 8 people are on stage at the same time, trying to piece that together. It's been a challenge. Yeah, we've had some people that had to pull out for school and all kinds of different things, so to get your team together. And also because there's a gun use in the show, warning, and Fringe, you have to have someone with the gun wrangler sort of license, and I was like, really? Because we didn't do that for other indie shows. We had a lockbox and all the proper things, but not someone with the full license, so to get somebody with that, and it's compiling it all. But yeah, as far as the acting comes, it's, I don't want to say the simpler part, maybe this is what we flow into more easily, and then the first rehearsal is a bit more stop and start, but he's good at writing. It just it comes out of you far more easily than you might expect. So
the George F. Walker kind of knows a thing or two.
Does indeed. And this one it could be set back in the early 90s, or it could be today. So there's present feel to it, which is cool, because often some of his plays, I'm going to say they're dated, but there is certain references to things that set you in a certain time, so it gives you a bit of freedom as well to play with. Yeah.
That's definitely one of the things we gravitate towards as a company. Is we prefer to do modern plays. So far, absolutely. So far, and just
that he's Canadian, it's a bit, for Fringe, it's a nice little thing that we can do, because American playwrights are amazing, but when we find a Canadian one that we can put up one of theirs, then it's a double bonus as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, when people are looking for plays, they often don't go to the Canadian playwrights very often, which is sad, because there are lots of great Canadian plays, and a lot of times people go to, those plays that they know that are usually American.
Yeah, I mean, we generally don't put too much emphasis on where the play's from.
We go for story.
It's go for story.
First.
Like that's the first and foremost thing, and go from there. Like that's kind of, and then we don't really worry about it too much. But this is the second time we've gone into the George F. Walker's world.
Wow,
So
yeah, something makes our hearts pump for his world and his people.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, as we're recording this, we're about a month out from Fringe. Fringe just had their launch
yesterday.
They switched up their website and put everything online. I was looking through today because I have to start making those choices about which shows I'm going to see and things like that. And are you ready with your flyers, your posters and all that stuff? Do you have a Fringe promotion plan?
Yeah, so we have a friend who's a photographer, and we did a really cool shoot. So I think within the week, things should be arriving from said printers, and then we can start posting the neighborhood and that. And then Tom's also past career in graphic design, so that's definitely a bonus to have someone that so good and so quick that he can do something in an hour that would take me half a day, right? So we're going for... it's obviously suburban motel, so they're all in motel rooms. And some of the pictures that we've taken were sort of more editorial type stuff, but they've got a really cool vibe and sort of a feel of the characters and who these individuals are. And I'm pretty excited to get it all online and unveiled and stuff. Right now, they're just doing some color correcting, they said, or something, which is not my realm. So I was like, sure, send it to me as soon as you're finished. So, hopefully over the next week, everything's going to be out so we can put the producing, I don't want to say on the back burner, because it's always there, but you get the bulk of it done, and then so we can focus.
Yes.
Focus.
You got to get it out of the way, so you
can
be an actor for a while.
Right, because I never want
promoter.
The producing to take so much time that it takes away from the acting is why we're doing it in the first place.
Yeah. So. I've gotten into that position where you're just like, I'm too caught up in producing and I can't concentrate on this thing, and it just ends up being terrible.
So I have to be like, can you ask for help?
Yes, and asking for help is usually important. In terms of promoting the show, do you have a plan? Is there any kind of in terms of when Fringe is on? You've got your patter for your Fringe lineups and stuff? Are you gonna wing it? Are you thought about that?
Well, I know. Well, I know last time some things we did some cross promos with other shows where we had their flyers in our program and vice versa. So that's a good thing, I think, to do. And then amongst all, despite all the online stuff, it's just like there's just good old fashioned word of mouth can tend to be the best way once the Fringe is going. But I don't know. But you can hit so many people online. We've having 4 past shows and people who have seen these shows, we can kind of tap into that as well. So it's just, and then getting in old fashioned, putting up posters and sending out postcards. And
so I think our tagline is sort of you've made your bed, now lie in it. But I think when you're approaching people
that is good. I haven't heard that one yet.
Tom came up with that. I can't take credit. But there's something in the Fringe and going to different shows, you've really got to sort of judge your audience when you're going up to them. How do you pitch the angle? Because when we're doing Skunkweed, if you're going up to people, some of the older generation that are coming out of a Shakespeare show, no, they're not going to go see a show called Skunkweed.
Even though the show really didn't have anything to do with skunky weed.
With drugs. But so you've got to, I think pick your target audience if you really want to draw people in, and then people bring other people, and then it slowly starts, hopefully, circulating.
Yeah.
But we've got Best Ensemble, and we've also got that when we've done a 48-hour film project, and I think that's what we never try to put anybody as a star, but if we can get a Best Ensemble type thing.
Well, I mean, that's just the thing. Like if you get those things, you got to use it.
Yep.
Right. So 2 years ago when we were in Fringe, we had we were in Now Magazine's list of best ensembles and top productions. And we were
company to watch.
Patrons pick.
Yep. And patrons pick. Yeah,
and patrons
that was cool.
pick.
We got an extra show at the end. And you're like,
back to back.
We had back-to-back
shows.
Yeah.
So we did a show, and then we had a 45-minute break, and we did our closing show.
Yeah, show.
So our patrons pick came in right before it, and oh man, we were on fire for that last show though, because we were so warmed up for it. Yeah, because there was no break, there was no time to come down from the first show, so it was flying and it was packed. It was great closing, but. So we got to use that stuff. So we will use our past shows to promote this show as well.
It's one of those things that Canadians are really bad about talking about themselves, or maybe it's me, but I think
I feel the same way.
Yeah,
it's awkward. It's uncomfortable.
It's hard to be like, I got this.
Yeah.
You know,
we're really good.
We're good. Other people said so.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, Bob. Yeah.
And it's like a very Canadian thing where you're like, we sold out, we've been selling out, or five ends and now, or whatever it is. You know, you should mention it, but you feel so awkward.
Yeah, I will say that we put our guts in it. We put our heart. We put tears and passion, and that's I think why you come see Triple Bypass. That we do lay it out there because it's what we love, and this is the opportunity that we get to do it, and tell great stories and. Really meet some great actors that bring things out of you that you don't necessarily expect. And I think that's the magical moments that you're just there on stage with someone and it's just, you're so present and you're so in the moment and things just happen. Very safely, of course, but if it's a violent thing or depending what it is. But
out of nowhere, busted my nose. Right on stage. It was magical.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Best moment ever. But, so it's, to have that driving force, I think, is, always behind our sort of goal in our productions.
Yeah, and you know, it's the great review. If you get a great review, that does half your work for you promoting.
It can really help.
It really helps. Big time.
Yeah.
Because that's like, you know, you get that 4 or 5 ends from Now Magazine, then you just like... print up the stickers, put them on your postcards, put them on the poster in the what was the alleyway or wherever they're going to be this year.
It's going to be this time.
You know,
we got to get that on like every poster. I did the Hamilton Fringe last year, and they didn't have a really good place for posters like outside each of the venues, and I was like, why? Like this is how you sell.
How are people going to know it's there?
Not just there, but like. You got to have all of the posters there. You got to have like a spot for all of the shows to put their stuff up, and they didn't really have that. So I'm sure that Toronto Fringe will have that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. You gotta
they always had something even before our Transact. They had that big fence.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They had that massive
Deadly
fence.
Stampede to put up your poster.
Yeah, but it was
I'm
but
so
if you
surprised
snooze, you
that
lose.
nobody died when they were doing
that.
We
know of.
Yeah.
This year, I hear they're doing a parade from the Honest Ed's
the old
location to
spot down the road.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
So you never know who, and that's what's cool about seeing the posters is different actors and directors, different people that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Because if you got the Fringe draws, only a certain person's name gets pulled, but you don't know who's associated with that show or who they've cast. So it's really cool. And then what a reunion, right? Like once a year to be like, hey, what have you been up to? You hear people's year and what they've been up to and what's upcoming, and be like, all right, man, I'll call you, and it's good.
I always see people at the Fringe that I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, someone you did a show with 5-6 years ago or something like that, and you hadn't seen them since, and all of a sudden they're there, and you have a quick beer with them.
It's like that place where you can go where you're going to see people that you know.
Yeah.
It's like theater cheers.
Theater cheers. That's what they should call it, maybe. Theater cheers.
They maybe should. Forget this Fringe tent shit.
Yeah.
Were you both at the lottery, or was it Melanie? Were you?
I was there with
there.
Amanda. Yeah. So we did not get drawn, but we got drawn first on the wait list.
First on the waiting
So
list is
we
a good spot.
thought that with any little bit of luck, something might
if you're first
go in
on
our
the waiting
favor.
list, you're pretty much gonna get in.
So we just crossed our fingers and it's
That's a good
exciting.
spot to be in. Do you guys regularly do the lottery, or do you just do it when you have a project?
No, we've done it
every year. We've done it without a project.
Yeah,
We never had a project. We just
it's you
just
put it out
knew
there
we'll
and then
find
the
one.
forces you to find something.
Yeah. And we always do. Excuse me. We always do published work, so we haven't gone into writing original stuff as of yet. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But
we are pretty well. One thing I would say we're all pretty stubborn people, so writing together would be a challenge, a joy, and but it's maybe on the horizons. We'll see.
We'll see.
We've all got some unique.
But as an actor-driven collective, we tend to just want to find just scripts that we can really sink our teeth into.
That we already know.
Yeah.
Are vetted and.
When for the lotteries each year, do you go or?
If we can, if we're off work, at least one or two of us try to.
I don't know how I feel about going anymore.
Because it makes you sad,
It makes me sad every year. Well, only because you're like in, and I think I would feel better if I was at home, not in the room, not getting into Fringe.
And just
just like the numbers, like every time they call, and then somebody's reaching in, and you're like, "Oh, this is the one. Is it gonna be? No, that's not the one." It's like this roller coaster the whole way through, and it's just I don't even know if I can take it.
But that's half the excitement.
It is. But now I'm thinking maybe the golden ticket is not to go for me. I don't know.
Get someone to live tweet the results.
Yeah.
And then
Well, they tend to
I
tweet
think
the
they
results.
did the last
They
one.
do.
I'm trying to remember.
Which is always helpful. So you can.
So it's good that you don't have to be there to accept it.
Yes, it's true. It's true. It's not like an award. You can sort of
go up and get your picture taken.
Yeah. Or like a raffle. It's like, no, okay. We're just going to pick the next one.
They would pack the place if you had to be there to accept.
Oh,
them.
absolutely.
Nobody would not be there.
Yeah, Transac would have to go somewhere else. It wouldn't be enough. Be outside. Wouldn't be enough space.
So a couple of questions just as we're finishing off. Is Triple Bypass online, social media website?
It absolutely is. www.triplebypassproductions.com. And obviously we're on Facebook as well. And Twitter, Triple Bypass TO.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Are we on Instagram too?
And on Instagram under the same handle. But it's all linked to the website. So you can go there. And,
very cool.
And then, probably put a ticket link thing up when they go on sale just to make it easier. Yeah.
And how about you guys individually? Are you do you have websites, Twitter, Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I think I just went on Twitter just for the purpose of our company. I don't really actively tweet anything until we're doing a show, really. But my thing is always trying to get the playwright to tweet out the show.
Oh yeah.
So we
got Eric Bogosian tweeted out our show, and Stephen Adley Gurigis tweeted out our Den of Thieves show. So that was always exciting.
Nice.
Just a little shout out. That
and the next step will be to get them to come up and see the show. But and I'm on Facebook. That's about it. I have I've got demo material on Vimeo and YouTube and stuff like that. But
and the link is on Triple Bypass's website.
Oh, is it?
It is
okay.
indeed.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I have MelaniePyne.com is my personal website.
Twitter, Instagram?
Both.
Yeah.
Yes. At Pyne Melanie, I think one is, and at MelSP13 is Instagram, if I'm remembering correctly. Got it all locked up there somewhere.
Well, thanks a lot, you guys.
Thank you.
Can we do you want to just run down, because we haven't actually mentioned exactly who's in the show.
Absolutely.
Let's just kind of throw some shout outs to our cast and our director and our other producers and stuff like that.
I will just make sure I'm saying everybody's name right.
That's important to have it written down. I had somebody call me after.
Yeah, you can edit.
I forgot somebody.
You can edit this part out, right? You can edit this part out.
I don't know if I can do that.
All right, so Our director is Christopher Hayes. Producer is myself, Melanie Pyne.
Chris Whitby, and then we have Amanda Armagon and Tom Zimmerl collectively is Triple Bypass, the four of us.
Max is going to be played by Tom. Jane is Joanne Serezin. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Donnie is Antonino Peruti. I am playing Pam. Stage manager is Stephanie Williams. And our gun handler media rep is Karina Kojin. And our fight director is going to be Nate Bitton.
Great.
We work with him a lot.
Yeah.
And
set design?
Set design is Sean McDowell, and set builder is Mike Vetrovich.
There we are.
I hope I'm pronouncing everything correctly.
Just to jump back into like conversations about stuff, for Fringe, there's always that question about how much set do you choose to have.
It's been a challenge.
That's been our challenge because our set designer Sean, he designed a beautiful set, and it would be a no-brainer if it wasn't Fringe.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Yeah,
just like to fit in that. I think it's 2 by 5 feet backstage. Like you have to make. We're thinking maybe the bed hollow so we can just. But
at the same time, you need things. You don't want to compromise the show either. So it's
a fine line.
It's a fine line, and I think we're back to the drawing board. Though.
We're going back and forth, and we're keeping a few elements and seeing how we can.
Yeah, because the other thing is like how quickly can you put it up and take it down, which is always
15 minutes. You got in between shows, right? So it'll be
15 minutes. Sometimes if you're like, we have a 90-minute slot, but maybe our show will run 84 minutes, so we got an extra 6 minutes to add into that 15. So,
but then because sometimes there's crossover. Like I've been like tearing stuff down, and the other people are starting to come in. And you're like, we're not done.
Usually they hold off. They're usually good about keeping the next show out of the theater until we're done, until the previous is done.
Yeah.
At least the past Muraille was really good with that.
That's good.
When we did the show last time.
You just go like, okay, this person's doing this thing, you're doing this thing, and sort of becomes like a little
army
that moves in quickly, and then because you want a few minutes to like settle, and you gotta put on your costume and get yourself psyched right before you go out there, so you don't want to be drilling something 2 minutes before the curtain goes up.
I've done rehearsing the setup as like, here's how we put together this set, and we have this much time. Can we do it in this much time? And like,
I think
so
you
when
have
we get
to.
into the space, it's just like there's never any stress because it's part of the show, and you just get it in, set up, and then you're ready to go. And because you've rehearsed it like it's part of the show, you're just nobody's stressed because it's just another part of it.
Yeah, I think you have to do that unless you have your set as a chair.
Yes. Yeah.
I think you definitely have to do that. We did that. Yeah, we did that before, and I think we ended up. Our setup was done in 5 minutes. I think last time we got it nice and tight.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, even the tech rehearsal, sort of tech time with the focusing your lights and all that, is your only time to, if you have enough time to rehearse, because that would be your dress almost before you go on. So even if it's just a couple scenes, just to hear what you sound like in the space and angles, because sometimes where you've been rehearsing it isn't exactly the stage space, so just to make sure
adjustments,
sort of technical things like that,
blocking adjustments and
to find your light and where's the edge of it, and
there's a lot of moving parts for a Fringe show. It only gets a 3-hour tech/dress.
They are patient. Those technicians in the theater, so patient.
Whenever I'm doing a show, there's 2 questions that I ask my theater tech. First question, how do you take your coffee?
Ha!
Second question, what is your drink of choice? Because
one before the show, one after the show.
Like, if you're the first show in there, you get them there, you come in with their coffee. If they're the last show of the night, you bring them their drink of choice.
Yeah.
And, you got to take care of them.
And they'll take care of you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you
man.
so very much.